to concede 9. That's the biggest win of the year in the first division, and I think even across both divisions. So not good for Canning.
Massive result. Anyway, let's not keep the man on hold any longer. He's been on hold for quite a while now. We have a very special guest this evening. Welcome to the show, Brian Gibson from Australian Football.
Hey boys, how you going?
Doing very well here in the studio. How's things over east, mate?
It's a bit wild and woolly at the moment. We've had some pretty crazy weather.
Join the club.
How's it affecting football over there? Is it affecting anything at all? A couple of flights cancelled in any of the divisions?
Yeah, there's been quite a few cancelled matches. I know on the Central Coast there's quite a few games called off on the weekend. But in the Sydney Sydney League, there's been quite a few games that have gone ahead. The Sydney Olympic had their return to Belmore Ground on the weekend, so it was good that they got that in despite all the weather that's around at the moment.
Hairy weather indeed. All right, now we've got you on as you're the creator of the Australian Football page on Facebook, and we're going to get you on here to talk about Australian football across all levels, and we're going to start off with the FFA Cup here. Now, rumours is it is going to start, it isn't going to start. What's the latest from FFA HQ?
Well, the latest out of FFA, a few months ago, it was reported that that it is going ahead. So, as far as I'm concerned, it will be starting in 2012. So that's good signs of something that the game really needs. It'll be a huge boost for football in the country. So it's good to see it going ahead.
But looking at it, though, I mean, this is a massive potential for clubs across all levels of Australia to get involved and to give themselves a bit of exposure, not just in their state, but across the nation.
Yeah, it's huge. There's so many different formats that they could be running it in. I think the actual format, doesn't really matter. It's going to work. It's going to be great to see, some of the clubs that are around the country sort of getting involved and playing against A-League clubs. It's going to be a really enthralling competition, I think.
And it also gives a sniff to a couple of the disgruntled NSL clubs that are out there, especially on the East Coast, just to name a few, probably South Melbourne, Sydney United, to have a crack, because a lot of them have said they're professional, and they've said before that they're ready to become part of a national league. And I suppose this is a chance for them to show the rest of the country exactly what they're all about.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just imagine, Perth Glory playing Sydney Olympic, or Sydney FC playing Adelaide City, Western Knights playing Brisbane Roar. It's just great for those smaller clubs to be getting that exposure.
I'll tell you what, it'd be an absolute glamour fixture if we get the Melbourne Knights over here in Perth again.
Yeah, awesome. And like Perth Glory versus Sydney Olympic, I think that was Perth Glory's first ever match. It was against Sydney Olympic from memory. So
UTS Olympic, I think they were called back in the day. Yeah. Yep. I think about 16,000 people turned up, all surprised that there was other people there to watch a game of soccer in Perth.
Exactly. So to have that sort of fixture come up again, I mean, it's just great for football in the country, really.
Also, looking at football in the country now, the FFA has come under a lot of flack lately. A lot to do with the running of the A-League, or to put quite a few journalists, the mismanagement of the A-League in the wake of them turning their attention to the Football World Cup. How do you see football in Australia at the moment? Is it being run correctly by the FFA?
At the moment, well, up until now, I think we've got a lot of stuff wrong. In the past, things like the A-League fixtures have just been an absolute mess for the last couple of seasons. There's a lot of stuff they've been doing wrong, but I really get the feeling at the moment that there's been a bit of a change. I think they're starting to actually listen to the fans. You've got, things like Ben Buckley turning out at the fan forum a couple of weeks ago. It'll be on SBS next Monday night. And he was there and he was listening to what the fans had to say, and some really passionate fans, and copped a fair bit of heat. So they're listening. They're out there listening to the fans. The draw came out. A lot of people, the majority of people, are happy with the new draw. They're talking about the FFA Cup. Everyone that I've spoken to thinks that's a great idea. So I think they're starting to listen, and I'm really looking forward to this coming season of the A-League.
Now, you were there present at the FFA fan forum, something that a lot of people over in WA couldn't attend unless they got a plane ticket. But what were some of the issues that were proposed or put forward to Buckley?
Well, obviously there was a lot of Sydney FC fans at the fan forum, so most of the issues were coming from passionate Sydney supporters. Things like the big jerseys that they have sort of in the Cove and that sort of thing. It was part of the FFA's promotion, but then the Cove, they weren't allowed to use that. They got told they couldn't use it at matches, which is a bit of an about face. Things like how the FFA takes control at finals time, when the people have been sitting where they want all throughout the year. Things like that were pretty hot topic. There were some the Premier League clubs there, people speaking up about them not being engaged, not being involved in the competition, not being heard and all that sort of stuff. So that was sort of what the main issues were about.
Yeah, it's a pretty common theme, really. You speak to the fans and the clubs alike across all levels of football in Australia, and they're all saying the same thing, that the FFA isn't engaging them, and they feel that they've just been left alone in the wilderness. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, the other thing is, with the crowd violence and all that sort of stuff that has been pretty hyped up in the media of late, was brought up on the night. And another example of FFA sort of getting involved is, Kyle Patterson, when he went on 3AW up against Neil Mitchell the other morning. And a lot of fans were happy with the way that he stood up for football support.
Yeah, I've got to say I agree there. Kyle Patterson did an excellent job in the face of, I think, Neil who?
Neil Mitchell, I think it was.
Neil Mitchell. Well, he's an unknown over here anyway, but plenty of his ilk over here as well. But having a look at that, how is the game perceived in the media over there as well? Especially because I think there were 7 people that were thrown out of that Serbia game, and news reports over here had it blown all out of proportion.
Yeah, it was the same over in New South Wales on Sydney radio, and down in Melbourne they were talking about there were thousands of fans involved, and it was all the Serbia fans. It was just very, very ill-advised reporting.
Yeah, I think the funniest quote to come out of that Cole Patterson interview was Neil Mitchell labelling the Serbian fans as un-Australian. And really, I thought that was a given.
That says it all.
Yeah, exactly. Now, moving forward, there are a few of the FFA teams, the Australian teams, in World Cup action at the moment, including the under-17s, the under-21s, I think the Matildas as well, all coming up very soon. That's
right. The next 2 months is going to be huge, really. I'm really looking forward to it. As you said, the under-17s, under-20s, across June and July, and the Matildas, flew out this morning. Really excited to see how they go over in Germany, off the back of their Asian Cup success. So, yeah, really looking forward to the next couple of months. Yeah,
I think they've got a very tough draw in there as well, don't they? I think they've got Equatorial Guinea off first off the cuff, which on the face of things doesn't sound like too hard a game, but they've been embroiled in controversy in recent years.
Yeah, that's right. I think the first match is actually against Brazil, and then they play Equatorial Guinea. But the first match is going to be huge.
And just in I think the under-17s action, a couple of the WA boys were playing in that against Canada, and I think in a training match, Cheesy, was it?
Yeah, 3 30-minute periods, so I don't think that'll go down in the official record books.
Well,
but,
something that can go in the official Perth Glory record books is we have a Perth Glory player that's on the roster, who's been signed, and he has scored against Canada. Well, now, I don't think there's any Perth Glory player, past or present, that can say that they scored against Canada.
Well, mainly because the last time we played Canada at any level was 1993 off the top of my head, so I don't think the Glory were even thought about back then.
Yeah, but congratulations to Jesse Maricunas who scored there, and also Dylan Tombides is also from WA, also scoring there. But excellent stuff coming through, particularly on the youth there, Gibbo.
Yeah, it's great to see. There's so much positivity. Keep harping on about. There's just so much positive stuff going on in Australian football at the moment. Like, we just keep hearing the negative stuff out of the news, but stuff like that, it's just great to see.
And it's good to see that a lot of these kids coming through and making first team A-League appearances coming out of the youth league, being involved in the Socceroos or the Joeys at underage level as well, really representing Australia on all three fronts.
Yeah, that's right.
And also having a look, the big news this week, Harry Kuehl. Now, his manager's come out and said that he's rejected a $6 million deal to sign for an A-League club, but has there been any more information on what, if any, A-League club will sign him?
Well, what I've heard with Harry's situation is, that pretty much what's been reported in the media, that, he's been in discussions. Originally it was with Newcastle, then it was with Melbourne Victory and Sydney FC, and then you hear back from all clubs that they've spoken to his manager, and it's gone to a certain point, and it's all sort of stalled because of different things that they've been asking for. You don't know how much to believe, obviously, but whether it's just he's doing it just to try and pump up his value in the market, looking for European clubs or what it is. But it'd be great to see him back in the A-League.
Just exactly, what are some of the demands that have been coming out of some of these negotiations?
Oh, it depends who you listen to. Whether it's cars, boats, houses, waterfront houses, all sorts of stuff. On the other hand, you've got Harry's manager coming out and saying that he's happy to settle for maybe less money and look at percentages of gate takings, and depending on crowd growth and that sort of thing, he'll get a share of that. So okay. None of us really know.
That'd be a very interesting contract if that did come through.
Well, it was something I read today, actually, that Perth Glory still wouldn't be able to afford Harry Kuehl because they said that they wouldn't even have enough space in the salary cap for the minimum wage, which I think is only $42,000. So he'd have to get paid at least that on a contract, plus the percentages of whatever goes into it. So if the Glory's salary cap is that tight as it is, then I think they've got a few playing spots available. So might cause a problem coming up.
Might do. Other big news is the Celtic tour growing closer. Big news for the A-League teams to get Celtic over here in the first place, but it looks like there's going to be a decent team rollout, Gibbo.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much about the Celtic side. I know they've got a few signings that they're bringing out. That their first matches will be when they're out playing in Australia, and I know all the Celtic players are pretty excited about coming out here. Hopefully we can get some decent crowds out here for them to play in front of against the Mariners, Victory and the Glory.
Yeah, something special for the Celtic supporters that are in Australia too, because they are here in big numbers. You see in Northbridge, over here in WA, Sydney, Melbourne. Good reward for them as well, but really big news for if your team is playing Celtic, get along and support these games. Yeah,
definitely get out there. Should be just go along for the atmosphere and enjoying the game of football, even if it's not your team playing.
I just wonder how many Rangers fans will turn up. Might need to get the riot police out and create some separations in the crowd.
We could have a bit of news for radio then.
Something to talk about more than the 7 Serbian fans, anyway, or the 7,000 Serbian fans, whichever report you believe.
No, it was all of them, mate. I'm actually pretty sure. Let's not escalate this, but the entire nation of Serbia was involved somehow.
Well, they all fit inside Etihad Stadium, obviously. So.
All right, Gibbo, we are going to have to leave it there, mate. Thank you very much for appearing on the show.
No worries, fellas. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for giving me the time and letting me come on air. Cheers.
All right, thank you very much. That was Brian Gibson from Australian Football, and a bit interesting to go through some stuff that's happening at all levels of football there, especially, the potential of a properly run FFA Cup, because that's big news for a lot of the state league teams.
Look, it's something that's been spoken about for a number of years, isn't it? And
it's been lacking. I know it
has been lacking.
I know discussions went back as far as when they were talking about the creation of an A-League. They were talking about the need for an FFA Cup, and it's good to see it's finally coming around.
Yeah, and when it does start, once we get some sort of format exposed on it,